Across the world, countless testimonies of faith have been shared, stories of men and women who encountered the living God in the most unexpected ways. From distant nations to the very heart of places once thought unreachable, God continues to reveal His power. How can anyone deny such power? These encounters are not coincidences, nor tricks of emotion. They are the unmistakable touch of a Savior who still heals, still saves, and still answers those who call upon His name. This is the kind of testimony that breaks through every wall of unbelief and reveals the unshakable, mysterious love of Jesus. When human effort failed, when false beliefs deceived many, heaven itself responded to a simple cry of faith. I was born in a small town called Zaria, in northern Nigeria. My father was the chief imam of our community, a man deeply respected by everyone around us. Our house stood close to the mosque, and people came every evening to pray, seek counsel, and listen to my father's teachings. I grew up learning the Quran, memorizing verses, and helping my mother prepare meals for visitors. From childhood, I was taught that Christians were misguided people who followed a false message. My father warned me never to enter their gatherings or speak kindly of them. Across the dusty street from our house lived a Christian family, the Balagans. Their daughter, Grace, was about my age. Although my father forbade me from playing with her, I often watched her from our window. She always smiled, even when others mocked her. Sometimes, when I fetched water from the well, she would greet me softly with a simple, "Good morning," spoken with such peace that I could never understand. One day, she secretly handed me a small book wrapped in cloth. "Keep it safe," she whispered. I didn't know it was a Bible until I opened it later in my room. Fear rushed through me, and I hid it under my mattress, terrified that someone might find it. I didn't read it then, but something about that moment stayed with me, like her smile carried a mystery my heart could not forget. Life continued as usual, the prayers, the teachings, the rhythm of faith, until the day everything changed. It was a quiet evening, and the air was heavy with heat. My mother and I were preparing for the next day's prayers when distant shouts broke the silence. At first, we thought it was a quarrel between neighbors. But soon the cries grew louder, angry, wild voices filled with hate. I ran to the window and saw a crowd rushing down the street carrying torches. My heart began to race. Someone shouted, "Burn the Christian's house!" The crowd was heading straight toward the Balagan's home. My father came out from his prayer room, his face tense. He told us to stay inside and lock the door, but I couldn't stop myself from peeking through a crack in the window. Flames were already rising. I heard Grace's mother crying for help as people threw stones and shouted. The smell of burning wood and smoke filled the air. Then something happened that I can never forget. In the middle of the fire, I saw a figure standing inside the flames. The man looked calm, completely untouched by the burning heat. His clothes shone brighter than the fire itself. In his hand, he held a small cross that glowed like light. I blinked again and again, thinking my eyes were playing tricks on me. But he was there, walking slowly through the fire as if it obeyed him. My body shook. The flames surrounded him, yet they couldn't harm him. Then, as he turned, I saw his face clearly, gentle, peaceful, yet full of power. Something deep inside whispered that I had seen that face before. Not in real life, but in the Quran, where Isa al-Masih is described as pure and holy. I stumbled backward, trembling. I couldn't tell my parents. They would never believe me. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that man in the fire, and my heart asked questions I couldn't answer. 4 days after the fire, the image of that man refused to leave my mind. The Balagan's house was gone, reduced to black ashes. People said the family had escaped, but no one saw them again. My father said it was God's punishment for their unbelief. Yet deep inside, something disagreed. I remembered Grace's kindness, her peace, and the man who walked unharmed through the flames. One afternoon, when everyone had gone to the mosque, I pulled out the small wrapped book Grace had given me. My hands trembled as I unwrapped it. The first words I saw were, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." I read them over and over. They sounded powerful and alive. I didn't understand them fully, but they touched something deep within me. Every night after prayers, I waited until everyone slept. Then, by the light of a small lamp, I read secretly. I read about a man who healed the sick, opened blind eyes, and loved those everyone else rejected. The more I read, the more warmth I felt inside, like someone was gently calling my name. Fear always lingered beside me. My father once said that anyone who turned Christian was cursed and must be driven away. I wondered if God would hate me too for reading this book. Yet I couldn't stop. The stories made me feel alive in ways the mosque never did. One night, everything changed again. The air was still, and the moonlight spilled softly across the floor. As I read, a peace so deep filled the room that my heart stood still. The air felt alive, carrying a presence greater than anything I had ever known. The lamp flickered, yet the room grew brighter. I couldn't move or speak. Warmth wrapped around me like sunlight on my skin. My fear melted away. In my heart, I knew it was him. The man from the fire. I didn't hear a voice, but deep inside, I understood his words. He told me he had always loved me, even when I didn't know him. He said the fire that destroys others would refine me, and what would seem like pain would later become light for others. Tears filled my eyes. I knelt and whispered that I wanted to follow him, no matter what. In that moment, the weight of fear and guilt lifted off me. I didn't understand everything, but I knew one thing for sure. The man I saw was real, and he had called me. A few weeks passed quietly. I tried to live as if nothing had changed, but everything inside me had. I still followed my family to the mosque, but my lips refused to speak the same old words. My heart only wanted to speak to Isa al-Marsi. One afternoon, my younger brother Yosef entered my room without knocking. He saw the open Bible on my lap. For a moment, we both froze. Then he ran to tell my father. My father stormed into my room, his eyes burning with anger. He grabbed the book and shouted, "Where did you get this? Do you know what this means?" My mother wept as he called me names I had never heard before. That night, they locked me in my room. I heard my father discussing with other men, plans to send me to a strict uncle until I came back to my senses. I cried quietly, not from fear, but from the pain of losing their love. Yet, even in that dark room, a quiet voice reminded me I was not alone. At dawn, my father told me to pack my things. I didn't know where he planned to send me. My heart sank as I hid torn pages of the Bible inside my wrapper. At the bus station, while my father spoke with another man, a commotion broke out, a stolen bag, shouting, chaos. My father ran to see what was happening. In that moment, a voice inside me whispered, "Now." Without thinking, I ran. My feet carried me through narrow streets until I could no longer breathe. I found myself in a strange part of town, crowded, noisy, unfamiliar. I hid behind a market stall, trembling. I had no food, no money, and nowhere to go. But I still had the promise, "The fire that destroys others will refine you." That night, as I curled up beside an empty shop, I whispered, "You said you would be with me. Please don't leave me now." The next morning, I woke to the sound of sweeping and soft voices. A group of women were cleaning the street. One of them, a kind-faced woman, noticed me. She asked where I was from, but I couldn't tell her the truth. I only said I had nowhere to go. She nodded and told me to follow her. She led me through narrow streets to a small compound behind tall walls. Inside, several women and children were reading from books, the Bible. "You are safe here," she said. Her name was Mama Ruth. For the first time since leaving home, I felt peace again. They gave me food, clean clothes, and a place to rest. Every night, we gathered in a small room lit by a single lantern. They sang softly, prayed, and shared how Isa al-Masih had changed their lives. Many of them were once Muslims, too. Some had lost families and homes, yet their faces shone with joy I could not explain. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. Mama Ruth began teaching me more about the Bible. She explained who Jesus truly was, not just a prophet, but the Son of God. Her words opened my heart even wider. Months passed, and life in Mama Ruth's refuge became my new world. We prayed every morning before sunrise, asking God for courage. I began helping younger girls who arrived frightened and confused, just as I once was. One night, as I sat outside under the stars, I thought about my family. I missed them deeply. As I prayed, that same warm presence surrounded me again. In my heart, I heard him tell me that it was time to go, to share his love and truth with others. When I told Mama Ruth, she smiled. "I've been praying for someone young and bold to rise," she said, laying her hands on my head and praying for courage and wisdom. Soon after, I left the refuge with a small group of believers. We began visiting towns and villages, quietly sharing the message of Isa al-Masih. Sometimes we were welcomed, other times we were threatened. But I remembered his words, "The fire that destroys others will refine you." Our journey was both beautiful and hard. We traveled mostly on foot, carrying little. In some villages, people reported us to local leaders, and we had to flee at night. But wherever we went, a few hearts always opened. In one small village near the border, we met a woman who had secretly been reading a New Testament for years. She cried when she saw us, saying she had prayed for someone to explain it to her. That day, under a mango tree, we read the word with her and 5 others. Their faces glowed with hope. That small meeting became the first house fellowship I helped to start. Over time, more people joined, former Muslims, young men, women, and children. We met in hidden rooms, quiet fields, sometimes by candlelight at midnight. We prayed, shared stories, and encouraged one another. Even when soldiers raided nearby towns, arresting or beating believers, we stood firm. "If the fire refines us," one of them said, "let us burn for him." Their courage strengthened my own faith. As years passed, small fellowships spread across West Africa. People once living in fear began finding freedom in knowing that FaAAithfulness was real and alive. Every time I looked back at the fire, the Bible, my escape, I saw that everything the enemy meant for destruction, God had turned into beauty. Now, years have passed since the night I saw the man in the fire. I have walked through fear, rejection, and loneliness, but through it all, FaAAithfulness has never left me. He took a frightened girl and turned her into a messenger of his love. The same fire that once destroyed everything I knew became the light that guides me still. I now lead small fellowships in secret places across West Africa. We meet quietly, not because we are ashamed, but because we want to stay safe and keep spreading the good news. If you are reading this, remember, your walk with God is precious. There will be days when the fire feels too hot, when trials seem unbearable. But He uses those moments to make you stronger. The fire that destroys others will refine you, if you trust Him. Faith is not only believing, it is walking daily with the one who called you, even when the road is painful. FaAAithfulness is alive, and He still changes hearts today, just as He changed mine. So stand firm. Keep your heart pure. Let your light shine, because someone, somewhere, may find their way to Him through your flame.